Today's episode of This Week in Startups is brought to you by Hiscox. Go to hiscoxusa.com/smallbiz for your business insurance needs. And by GoToMeeting. Sign up for GoToMeeting today by using promo code START to begin your free trial.
Today on the program, Dmitry Shapiro, the founder of Anybeat, the Facebook competitor killer. We're also going to have a Shark Tank. It's a healthcare pitch. And Tyler's going to drop some awesome insights, all that and more right now on This Week in Startups. Hey.
That's what it's all about, man. They said money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you. Yeah. Money is the root of all evil. What? Funny how it feeds my people. Yeah. We ain't gonna live like equals until we get the money, spend the money, and defeat you.
Hey everybody, we're live here from the TechCrunch Disrupt Conference. No, that's just a joke. We're not live from the TechCrunch Disrupt Conference. But hey, ding dong, the witch is dead.
Wow.
There you go, Tyler. I wish Mike a lot of luck.
It's the Crunch. I was thinking this yesterday, that the Crunch fund is...
I mean, he screwed me over. He stole from me.
I know.
I wish him luck.
I know.
Everybody is so proud of me for not being like public and out there during this whole thing.
What do you think of the Crunch fund?
I think it'll be successful. I think it's, having done 25 angel investments over the last 2 years, not as fun as building companies, I'll be honest.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if it's for me. I like it. I like supporting other entrepreneurs. Mm-hmm. I like angel investing, don't get me wrong. I still want to do it. But man, it's more fun to build. It's so much more fun to be on the other side building stuff. I mean, you know what angel investors really are? They're ATMs. They're glorified ATMs. That's it. It's like you're coming, there's this sort of faux friendship, we're all in it together vibe that occurs. But the truth is, people need fuel to start these things. And there are totally exceptions to this rule. But in general, knowing entrepreneurs, being an entrepreneur, they're not really looking to the angel investors to build their business, nor should they. They just need their cash. And they're basing it on who can give them the best valuation and then who's going to make for the best press release. It's all just transactional, except for maybe 10% of the time.
What's different that 10% of the time?
I think there are some folks who actually provide really additional value, where they sit with the entrepreneurs and they act as a support mechanism and a coach or a cheerleader, and they call. But I can tell you, I've got a group of all-star investors in a couple different projects, and they're not all equal. And these are some big names. But there are some that call you and say, hey, how you doing? How you holding up? I saw the bad news. I saw you lost this employee. I saw you got your ass kicked by the Panda update, whatever. They call, how you feeling? How you doing? And then you just look across the list of people who angel invested, and it's you have 25 investors, and 5 of them make those calls. And I have world-class investors. But I'm always shocked that anytime any of my friends have a hard time, I call them and make that phone call. Hey, how you doing? I saw you got your ass kicked. It's kind of important, that phone call. You agree?
I think so. Yeah. I think you're right. I think, most don't, but the some that do are awesome, and those are the special ones.
Right.
Yeah.
So anyway, is Mike one of those special ones who's going to be warm, cheerful, and supportive? Or when things go bad, will Mike revert back to the Mike who trashed Engadget, stole from me, stole from the Jupad guys, or got in lawsuits or whatever, dissed the Engadget guys, made Tim Armstrong look like an idiot, made Ariana Huffington look like an idiot, which Mike will show up as an angel investor, I guess, is the question everybody's asking. And actually, I think for Mike, the whole TechCrunch thing has been a bit of, and the sale, it's just sort of heartbreaking for him in a way. So maybe this clean break is he's the kind of guy who can only break up one way. You saw it with the Jujupad, you saw it with me, you saw it now with AOL. He can only break up in that big, bombastic, it's over, scorched earth, we're never going to speak again kind of way. It's his pattern. And but I know that he's sad about it because he called me a couple of weeks ago. And it wasn't, he said it was an accident, but I don't think it was an accident. As Freud would say, there's no accidents. And when Mike called me, he said, do you ever think that we'll be friends again? And it was so sad to hear that in his voice. I just felt so bad for the big guy. You know, I still consider him my big guy, like my big Shrek. I used to call him Shrek.
Yeah.
You were there.
Yeah.
I tell him he's like Shrek.
Yeah.
It's like my big, lovable Shrek. I told him he should paint himself green for the next TechCrunch 50 and come out as Shrek, because he's like this big, lovable guy, you know. I still like, it's the bizarre thing, you know, somebody can screw you over like that, and like, you still get this like weird, I'm still rooting for him to a certain extent, like I want to see him do well in life. But hey, if you want to do well in life, here's something you should do. Go ahead and join the TWiST producers group. There's 140 people on the email list. And we just sit there and talk about startups all day. In fact, the person who's on the Shark Tank today is an executive producer, and it's a great way to learn about how to build startup companies and be part of the inner workings of this program, selecting the guests, selecting the topics, etc. And you just go to twistlist.co, twistlist.co, for anywhere from, like, we have broke-ass fans who pay $2 a month, super fans who pay $10 a month, executive producers pay $200 a month, all these kind of things. And I bring them to the conferences I go to. I always get 10 free tickets to a conference. So I bring people, we roll deep, we go to lunches. I basically am losing money on this Twistlist program. Even though people are paying to be producers and be part of the thing and support the show, then I go on, like... I can't help myself. You know how I am. I go to like speak at some conference in New York for Rewrite Web, and I take everybody out to lunch, and it costs me $1,000. And then I take them out to, you know, whatever. What do I care? Who cares?
And they come by the studio when they're
They come
in
by
town.
the studio. That's another great benefit. And it's a whole list of benefits, and it will make your life so much better if you become an executive producer. Hey, you know, the Hiscox guys, they've been a great supporter of the program.
Sure.
You need to have small business
The last
insurance.
5 episodes have all had lawsuits in them.
Exactly. And hey, listen, you might be in business with Mike Arrington and be involved in a lawsuit. So just for the Mike Arrington factor, you're going to want to have Hiscox insurance.
If you take money from the Crunch Fund.
If you take money from the Crunch Fund and he winds up suing you for being an angel, being one of his investments.
Sure.
Interestingly enough, I'm going up to be in a deposition for the whole Juju Pad case. I'm like, what do I have to do with the stupid Juju Pad, the Crunch Pad? And now they want me to testify against Mike Arrington in not court, but like a deposition. So I'm gonna videotape it and release it as an episode of This Week in Startups.
That's probably why he called.
Maybe he wanted to touch base with me if I was going to bring up A, B, and C, which you know what A, B, and C are.
Sure.
In the deposition. I won't bring up A, B, or C. I'm going to just... Anyway, hey, let's roll that Hiscox tape. I had the Hiscox folks back. Hey, everybody, it's Jason Calacanis, the host of This Week in Startups. I'm here with Jim Whetstone. He is a senior vice president at Hiscox, a great insurance firm. You're going to answer some basic questions about insurance for some of the entrepreneurs in the audience. Yep. What makes you guys different than all the other insurance providers out there?
Well, one, I think it's telling that you guys know about us and that startups are starting to pay attention, because it's an area of focus for us, more so than I think other companies. And just the distribution channels. We give startups the opportunity to purchase insurance directly online, and that makes us unique.
And that's a very unique thing in the marketplace. Most people, you have to go deal with an insurance broker, or you have to go through third parties, and it just becomes very time-consuming. And it's really not how entrepreneurs are used to doing something. You're used to just filling out a form and getting what they need.
I think that's right. In that stage of their development, as they get bigger, I think it is important to have that broker that can help you, understand. But certainly, as a startup, having the ability to just get online and get the insurance you need immediately is definitely a benefit.
That's a great first step. And then maybe when you hit 25, 50, 100 employees, that's when you need to get a broker maybe to help you.
Yeah, and I think it varies by company when they're, because the broker is a consultant to them. They can provide some risk management consultation.
So what is the basic insurance that everybody needs to get for their company? Because you hear a lot of different terms. Do I need director's insurance, general liability? What would you advise my 3-4 person angel invested in startup company to buy?
Well, there's certainly all forms of insurance that you can purchase. I think the one that we're most focused on is errors and omissions insurance, if you will. So the company has made a mistake and somebody's going to sue them. Whether they've made it or not. Somebody claims that you didn't live up to what you promised. You infringed on my software copyright. Those types of incidents. That's really what we're providing insurance for, is where it's the company has made a mistake and somebody's suing them, claiming that they were harmed.
And the key thing you said in that sentence is you don't have to be wrong to get sued.
That's absolutely right. I mean, we see that all the time, where it's just an allegation that you've done something wrong, whether you have or not. And just hiring an attorney to defend yourself against that can be very costly.
Right.
And most startups are not going to have the funds to fund that absent of insurance.
So if I don't have insurance and I get a letter from somebody saying, like, hey, here's big law firm, you guys infringed upon us. If I don't have insurance or I do have insurance, what is the process like?
Well, certainly if you do have insurance, you can engage your insurance company, and they're there to assist you. I mean, we pride ourselves at Hiscox as, when that event happens, we put our arm around our client. We're there for them. So
a phone call happens?
A phone call. Hey, I've got this letter. Somebody's demanding some money, alleging that I've done something. I need to defend myself against this. Let's start down that path. We engage attorneys to defend in that case,
right.
And hopefully get to the point where it's resolved without any additional monies being spent.
And if you don't, and you haven't taken the time to just get simple insurance online, basic errors and omission insurance, then you're left trying to find an attorney.
You're calling an attorney if you can find one that knows the business. I mean,
right.
Certainly we work with attorneys that know the business
right.
that these startups are in and how to defend them against those types of claims.
And you're super aligned with the client because you both want to just see this ugliness get resolved
Absolutely.
quickly.
We're both financially invested in it, and so, again, we are partners in that scenario,
right.
and we're looking out for their best interests as well.
Hey, thanks, Hiscox. That was very informative. I'm not sure anything about that ad type. Do you like it better when I read the ad or when I interview the person?
When you read the ad.
You like it better when I read the ad?
Yes. Although it's nice.
I think so too.
It's nice putting a face to the name.
Yeah. Maybe at 2 minutes that would be better.
Maybe a minute.
Maybe a minute even. Just answering one question.
I mean, that was
anyway,
educational.
It was educational. That was the idea.
Yeah.
We're trying to be educational with the ads. And we thought, it was my idea. I said, hey, why don't we bring the guys in from Hiscox? Because I know, I just want to I want to put a face to the name and be able to discuss the actual topics of startup insurance or whatever. So I felt like it was informative. I don't know. I give it a B. I give it a solid B. It might be better for me to just read the ad. I'm not sure. Anyway, if you got feedback, jason@mahalo.com. You can just email me, jason@thisweekend.com or jason@calganis.com. Hey, on the program today is the founder and CEO of Anybeat, formerly Alt.ly, who's actually formerly, before that, the CTO of MySpace Music. His name is Dmitry. Welcome to the program.
Thanks.
And I see you've got your fuzzy laptop here, and there's a really dirty car outside with the Burning Man on the side of it. I'm assuming that's yours as well.
It is mine, yes.
So somehow you recovered from last week's Burning Man.
Yes.
And you made it here.
I did.
How was the burn?
Amazing.
Did it jump the shark this year? Because it jumps the shark every year. I went 5 years ago, 6 years ago, and everybody told me it jumped the shark that year.
Listen, it's my third year. I think it's amazing every year.
Right.
But that's a whole other segment. If you get me started talking about Burning Man, that may take a
why,
time.
Well, why are so many tech people drawn to Burning Man? Is it like religion for atheists? What is it? That sounds like a Tyler
That
Insight.
does sound like a Tyler Insight.
Yeah, it's many different things for many different people. But I think the reason techies are drawn to it is because it disconnects us from all of our devices. And when we do that, and we do that for a significant amount of time, let's say a week,
Right.
We realize how much these things really basically socialize us,
Right.
create that common beat for us. Hence, actually, the name of Anybeat, which is to help us find our own beat.
Right.
And Burning Man is one of those tools that allows you to, in a sense, quiet all of this noise of society.
Right.
And go out into the middle of the desert and rediscover yourself, rediscover what you yourself are all about.
Do they have internet there? There's isn't there in the main camp?
There's some camps that bring wireless internet there, but
Right.
I stay away from all those camps.
There's no rule against it, though.
No.
There should be. I mean,
But
if you're going
it's
to outlaw commerce, the whole idea to outlaw commerce and
Right.
people selling stuff is to keep it like a different type of experience, a more pure human interaction.
Right.
Adding Wi-Fi, does that take away from it, or does it add to it?
Well, I think it just distracts from it. I think
Right.
anything that brings, we call this the default world while at
Right.
Burning Man. This isn't called the real world, this is called the default world. And so anything that brings the default world to the playa is seen as being in poor taste.
Right.
And that's why people don't walk around wearing a T-shirt with, let's say, Mahalo logo on it. That
Right.
would be inappropriate. It wouldn't
Right.
be illegal. It'd just
Right.
be something that you shouldn't do.
I got yelled at the first time I went there. I got there the first day, I had a T-shirt on and a pair of shorts. I wasn't dressed in a Burning Man outfit.
Yeah.
And somebody was like, "Bah!" And I was like, what the? I just got out of my trailer, I have to all of a sudden be steampunk, out of the gate or something. It was a little bit crazy. So did you meet any famous internet people there?
No.
No.
But I'm sure there
Did you
are
close
plenty.
any venture
I'm sure
capital
there are
deals?
plenty. No, I didn't talk about business at all. I went there for the whole week and disconnected and spent time with my friends and my girlfriend, and
Nice.
it was wonderful.
Whole week or just like the weekend?
Whole week.
Oh, really? So
Yeah.
you're serious?
I'm very serious.
Right. So
That's
people
why
who
the
come
dust-
for the weekend, like me, for 48 hours and just watch the man burn and get the heck out.
Well, I think it's better than nothing, but you don't get the same experience.
Yeah,
you know?
I'm kind of a fly, drop in, 48 hours, and I'm out. 'Cause it's too much dirt. That's Now, I had a good time, actually, when I went. So now you have become somewhat notable because you've gone out there very publicly and said you want to take on Facebook. You want to provide an alternative.
Yes. There's a difference. I'm not trying to go and take on Facebook.
Right.
I think that's a ridiculous thing to say. Anybody that says that, I want to talk to them and
Would be like
find out what's
taking on
wrong.
McDonald's.
I think even much more difficult than that.
Well, actually, McDonald's probably serves more people than Facebook right now. But yeah, so but I guess they're a juggernaut.
Yeah,
So yeah, it's an equally ridiculous at least.
Right.
So you want to provide an alternative.
Yeah, exactly.
Not a killer.
No, not a killer. Listen, I love Facebook. I use Facebook all day, every day. It's the first thing I check when I get up in the morning.
Do
It's
you
the
love
last
it?
thing. I love it.
Really?
Yes.
You don't find it oppressive in any way?
Oh, it's got all kinds of issues. But it's an amazing tool, and we live with those issues because the tool is so great.
What are the issues? What are the issues?
Well, there are all kinds of issues. I mean,
Well, what are the
privacy
top-
issues are some of the biggest issues. Obviously,
Right.
the ones that I wrote this big manifesto, kind of citing what those things are.
Yeah.
The way that any of these products, internet products, are created, they're created in a way that in a sense, baits us to do things, right? And so Twitter baits us to tell the world what we're doing,
Right.
every
Prompts you to do
moment
so.
of the day. Exactly. As does Facebook.
Right.
And while initially Facebook was built to be a tool that allowed college students to communicate with each other in small groups, and you knew that the only
Right.
people you were talking to were your fellow college students.
Right.
As it expanded and kind of as it started to grow broader and broader, I think it makes us share too much information, makes us overshare. And because we overshare and we really haven't thought about how we're doing the sharing, we end up oftentimes, not everyone, but many people, find themselves in uncomfortable places. Divorce attorneys are now using Facebook as a source
sort
for
of like
information against
50%
people.
of divorces or some ridiculous
It's
statistic on
ridiculous.
CNN I heard just today.
Right.
And I hadn't heard the statistic before, mention Facebook.
Yeah, people are getting fired because of the stuff they talk about on Facebook.
Right.
People are creating feuds that really shouldn't exist.
Right.
All kinds
And
of
the
things
tormenting
happen.
actually is one of the most interesting to me. People say, oh, well, bullying always existed in the real world. And I say, it has existed in the real world, but even bullying, when you meet face-to-face with a bully, Mike Arrington's a bully, as an example, he will quickly crack. So like he could beat up on Katerina Fakey or whatever, or beat up on me or whoever. But once he meets you face-to-face, he really sort of crumbles. And it's very hard to continually brutalize somebody in person, face-to-face. To have a certain really
Totally.
sadistic personality to do that. However, online, it doesn't ever end. It dehumanizes, doesn't it?
It can. Yeah, I mean, online brings
We have all
lots of
these
wonderful things.
Right, but look at all the suicides we have of young people being tortured. I don't think a 10-year-old brain is meant to deal with the kind of torture that can be inflicted online.
Yeah, listen, I think 10-year-olds should not be using Facebook or social media in general. I
Why
think
is that?
it's to what you just said. I think they need to spend time with their families and friends, and these are sophisticated tools. They offer a tremendous amount of power, and unless we know how to use them, they can be, in one way they're wonderful, another way they're terrible. So Facebook or any of these other networks may be contributing to bullying, but at the same time they're letting people feel like the world hears them and creates compassion and empathy. So it goes both ways, but...
Yeah. So you look at this, you're enamored with Facebook in a way, but you're also disturbed by it, and you want to create an alternative.
Well, there are different, we need different tools for different things.
Right.
So Facebook is our tool to keep in touch with our friends, family, and other people we know.
Sort
And
of
I
like a
use it
phone
as
book, right?
Absolutely. I use it as a business tool. It, in many ways, has replaced email for me. I do a lot of communication with investors, with business contacts via Facebook.
Really?
Absolutely.
Somebody contacts
Every
me
day.
if somebody contacts me by Facebook, like, hey, I want to angel invest, and they use the Facebook messaging system, I automatically degrade it like, this person is not serious.
Well, it shouldn't be something that's used as prospecting, but if you have a relationship, it can be the place where you manage your
Really?
relationship. Yeah, absolutely. Every day.
I sort of feel like it's like the kiddie place. If you want to be taken seriously, like, I think you got to send an email direct. I don't know.
I use both, of course.
You use both.
But
okay. So let's take a look at what you've built, and maybe you could show it to us.
Sure, yeah, I'd be happy to.
Yeah. Okay. Can we pull up his computer? Hey, there you go.
All right.
And by the way, to zoom in, if you hit the what is that? The Command Shift Plus, it will probably double the size of it. Why don't you give that a shot on yours? Command Shift and the plus, maybe one more. I think the users can see it pretty closely now.
Okay.
The other way to zoom in. Oh, there you go. Now we got a full feed. So here we go. Now, this is not open to the public right now, correct?
It is being open to the public as we speak. Now,
when we launching it right now on the program.
We're launching it right now.
You're kidding? Wow.
But what we're launching is not our official launch.
I'm so honored. Okay.
We're launching a limited beta test. And so we want to try this out in the wild, and so we're going to let a limited number of people in. We haven't decided what that limit is yet. We'll pulse it, day by day. But really what we're looking for are beta testers and people who understand there are still bugs, in fact, plenty of bugs, and want to give us feedback. This is not yet our official launch.
Okay. So I just signed up myself.
Okay, awesome. So before I show you, let me give you a little bit of context. So we're calling this an online community rather than a social network. And the reason for that is social networks, I believe, are really meant specifically to map your existing social graphs.
Right.
And that's why Facebook's wonderful. It lets me map my friends and family and business associates and all that into this graph.
In a way, it's their asset.
That's right.
It's their core intellectual property.
Right.
Is the actual fact that they've actually mapped out the world.
Absolutely. And what we're really building is a public gathering place. Think of it in that sense.
Town square?
A town square. In fact, we have something called, right here, if you look, called Public Square, which I'll show you in a second. But yeah, town square. Really think of it, instead of a town, square, but a town itself.
Right.
So it has public areas, it has private areas.
Right.
But all profiles in the system are public. There are no private profiles.
Right.
All profiles are public. And so if you go to somebody's profile, you can see all the stuff about them, their feed, information about them.
Now, it feels, right off the bat, and I'm sure you've heard this already, very much like Google Groups. Now, you were in development long before Google Groups emerged, correct?
You're talking about Google Plus?
Google Plus, rather.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I say Google Groups. Google Plus. It has a Google Plus white, clean feel, which is basically how anybody would evolve the Facebook cramped design. Big, bold column. Were you in design before Google Groups launched? And when you saw it, did you go, oh my gosh, this looks similar?
We started building this product in April. And so before Google Plus launched,
Google Plus.
I've done the design. So I did this design myself. So any terrible design should be blamed on me.
Right.
Any good design I'll take credit for as well.
Right.
I think it's got similarities to all of these services. And we all try to make things clean and, and pretty and all that. So it has a friending model of Twitter or Google Plus, which is a follow and mutual follow.
If you mutual, so you could be my follower. I could follow you.
Yes.
If we follow each other, we are now.
You can call us friends, contacts, whatever.
Okay.
But we can see each other in our instant messaging presence windows, and we can instant message each other if we follow each other.
Got it.
Otherwise,
the instant messenger popped up right there.
Yeah, we can actually send messages to anyone in the system. You can find everyone in the directory. And so we have a directory that you can browse and search by all kinds of criteria. And you can literally find anyone and send them a message. In fact, that's Howard Linson. That's Tom Anderson.
That's that Halcyon guy, right? Yeah.
Yep, Halcyon guy, exactly. He's part of the company. The pink guy. Exactly. And
Is he an adult actor now?
He's not an adult actor.
I thought he was doing porn with his girlfriend or something.
No, he's not an adult actor. He's a web guy.
I know he's a web guy. I met him a bunch of times. He's the pink guy.
He's a big Burning Man guy. Does lots of videos for Burning Man.
I thought that Halcyon had gone into adult entertainment.
No, he as many people did. He's done technical work for the adult industry, but not.
I used to follow him during something, and it was He was a big Tribe guy.
He was a big Tribe guy. He was blogging before there was a name for blogging. He used to own blogs.com. He's a great guy. And so anyway, so you've got a profile, about us section. Everything in the about us section is actually linked to the directory. So if I click on this, it'll show me all other people who have engineers in occupation. I can filter it through all kinds of means. Anyone can send anyone messages in the system, asynchronous messages. People you're following, they go into priority inbox. People you're not following go into another mailbox.
Interesting. That's the feature I need on Twitter desperately, because I am getting flooded with direct messages.
Right.
I guess they let anybody now direct message anybody.
I don't think so. I think you have to be following
Still have to be
them.
following.
Yeah.
Oh, you know what it is? I auto-follow everybody now because I'm trying to be a mensch.
They'll do it.
I'm getting a lot of spam too. A lot of direct message spam.
Yeah. Well, and a lot of this, I think, depends on what the culture is of the community.
Right.
And the culture in the Twitter community is, let's use Twitter as a marketing channel.
Yeah.
And we're really saying to the world, look, there are plenty of places to use as a marketing channel. This is not what we're building. This is not the place you should go and create your personal brand or market your business. This should be the place you go to hang out, to communicate with people about all kinds of things we really don't talk about in traditional social media. Politics, religion, philosophy. Why don't we talk about them? Because in Facebook, in Google+, all of that is associated to our legal official identity. On those services, I must be Dmitry Shapiro, the entrepreneur.
Right.
With investors, with here's my family, here are all my friends.
Right.
And so I often joke that we have free speech, but as much as they have free speech in Iran, you can say anything you want, but tomorrow it will be used against you.
Right.
And so one of our first kind of key tenets
I
is...
get that all the time now, because I have such a big, social following, that if I say something off the cuff that has anything to do with religion or politics,
Right.
I get these emails from people. I cannot believe that I have been a fan of This Week in Startups for 2 years, and I've watched 185 episodes, 187 as of this one, and you said Obama is disappointing to you.
Right.
Isn't Bush more disappointing? Or the opposite.
Right.
Oh, you're such an Obama apologist. And I'm like, just because I said I'm disappointed in Obama, or whatever, like, I can't be disappointed in the guy. Now it's like, everything you say, you're right. It becomes part of this like dossier to be used against you.
Yes. And kept forever, indexed by Google,
Right.
available to everyone.
Right.
And while that's wonderful for all kinds of things, clearly it's not the place to discuss anything that is...
But it's also why Larry and Sergey never say anything anywhere.
That's right.
Larry has not done an interview since taking over as CEO.
Yeah.
And I was told he's not going to ever do an interview. And they're like, well, you can't do that. And they said, well, Apple's CEO didn't give an interview for a long time. He just went and gave his keynotes.
Yeah.
That's a good point.
And that's why when you sign up, we actually don't ask you for your real name.
So you're against the real name whole, like,
We're not
totalitarian...
against anything. We just suggest that you think about using a pseudonym. And if you use a pseudonym, a username,
Right.
then you can be much more free than if you use your first and last name. Now, we allow you to use your first and last name, and we even give you a tool to say, I'll show you, only show my first and last name to people that I'm following. You can do that in account settings here, right here.
Ah.
See?
So I can use my handle.
Right.
I can be the cyber surfer.
Right.
In my discussion forums or to
Yeah.
people who don't know me.
Yeah.
But then people can know that my secret identity is
Absolutely.
Jason Calacanis.
Yeah, totally.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Insight Man 310.
Yeah.
I wonder who that could be.
There are private groups and public groups. And so, for example, I can create a group called Stanford Math Club, invite some members, including email, make it private or public. And even if I wanted to do this, and this is, by the way, very important
Right.
if you're using pseudonyms, I can say that the only people that can join this group have to authenticate with an email address at students.stanford.edu.
So you can verify them by their email extension.
Right. Not show that to anyone.
Not show that to anybody. So these are all Stanford people.
Exactly.
However, they have pseudonyms.
Exactly.
So then it can become like you've filtered it out by domain name, but given people individual anonymity, so that you know they're a member of this community.
That's right.
But you don't know who they are specifically.
That's right. It could be in a company, for example.
So
as
this
well.
might be a really brilliant way to manage the two extremes. Facebook saying no fake personalities,
Right.
and MySpace and Twitter saying free for all, but the free for all
That's
causes
right.
massive spam
That's right.
and harassment.
That's right. And nobody's policing. So if you take a look over here in my instant messaging window, there's some people that have these little stars next to their names. These are called rangers. You can find them in the community, in the directory. These are basically deputized members of the community. They have special rights. They're online all the time, and they're here to help people make sure that this place is clean and well lit. And
They're list moms.
yeah,
In
exactly.
the listserv
Absolutely.
days.
Absolutely.
Were you a listserv guy? Were you or BitNet? Were you a Usenet guy?
Not so. I mean, clearly I've used all that, but I would have never called myself a Usenet guy.
There was the whole idea before social networks, lists reigned supreme, and on different discussion lists in the 90s, you would have a list mom. Yeah. And there would be multiple list moms, and list moms would be on duty at different times. And if you were to, much of a promotional person or an a-hole or just whatever, harassing people, flooding the system with bad messages, just a bad dinner guest, as I would call it, they would moderate you. You'd be modded. Yeah. That was like death. Yeah. Modded meant you couldn't send directly to the list. You had to wait in order for your email to be read by somebody and then be sent, which means you would respond to something somebody said, today, and the list mom would get to it 8 hours later, and the discussion would be over.
Totally. We can put people into timeouts. We have all kinds of back-end tools that allow us to manage this community. Right. Okay. And so we have lots of stuff. I mean, basically, some people use this as Twitter. It has all of the capabilities of Twitter, but none of the restrictions. You can post more than 140 characters. You can message people.
That was just a really brilliant move, and now has become their Achilles heel in my mind. The 140 limitation.
You have threaded.
But you disagree with that.
Yeah.
You love the 140.
Yes.
Because you think people are just not that interesting.
I like the idea that it forces their 50 conciseness.
Yeah,
it does, but it prevents some kind of different conversations, right? And that's why I think a lot of people write blog posts or now are using, for example, Google Plus and simply using Twitter as a promotional channel. It
has become Google Plus has become a blogging platform. When we get back, I want your thoughts on how Google Plus, has evolved and your usage of it. And right now, I want to tell you about another amazing piece of software and a service, GoToMeeting. I love GoToMeeting. I use it all the time. As you guys know, if you're new to the program, we have 2 partners per episode. They have to be approved by Tyler and myself and Lon and the crew. We have to love the product, or else you can't be a partner, sponsor, whatever you want to call it. And GoToMeeting is one of those products that I use all the time. I've used for years to do meetings. Every time I do an angel investing meeting, boom, we just pop up a GoToMeeting, and it works. Their new HD Faces software, which we've been using for calls, is brilliant. You're actually going to see it during the Shark Tank. It's just a great new piece of software. And because you pay for this service, it's just so much more stable and rich than the other services that are out there. You get what you pay for. Go ahead and sign up and use the promo code START, and then send your receipt to contests@thisweekend.com. And Tyler's giving away his 13-inch MacBook Air. No, he's giving away a new one with a Logitech HD camera. And I think only a couple dozen people have signed up, so your chances are 1 in a couple of dozen at this point. It's going to change. But hey, so go sign up for GoToMeeting. Use the promo code START, START, and then email it to contests@thisweekend.com. Just hit Control F, forward it. You're automatically entered into the contest. Contest is ending October 3rd, so sign up today. Thank you, GoToMeeting. What an awesome program. I highly recommend it. Hey, question from Zambig in the chat. How many people does Dmitry suggest you connect with? This has been a big issue, right? Path said, 50 people is the Dunbar number, and then it went to 150. What's the right number for people to connect with?
I have no idea. I suggest nothing. I think it shouldn't be forced.
Right.
And I believe in life in general there should be no shoulds.
Right.
It's whatever you want. Some people are more social and they can carry on conversations with lots of people. Some people need nice, close groups of friends, and so whatever it is. I think following 1 million people is probably too many.
So what do you think of the execution of Google Plus? When you first logged into it, were you impressed?
Yes.
Why?
I thought it was awesome. I was fortunate enough to get an invite from Bradley Horowitz himself.
Yeah.
4 minutes after the launch of Google Plus.
Right.
About 5 minutes later, I joined a Hangout, and Bradley joined as well. I twisted my monitor, my computer here, and on camera I showed him our team, and I said, "Bradley, meet the team." Huh. And it was a wonderful, surreal moment as he saw our team of 5, as he twisted his laptop and said, "Dmitry, meet the team." And I saw a room that looked like an gymnasium-sized room with screens and all of these people. It was quite surreal.
Awesome.
I think the product is great. I think it fills an important need, in a sense, innovates, and has forced, as we know now, Facebook itself to innovate, to give us the ability to segment our messages.
Right.
Not to simply say the same thing to everyone.
I mean, that is the critical feature, isn't it?
I think so. For communicating with people you know.
Right.
Because people we know specifically what we want to say.
I have been doing a technique now on Google Plus that I have to say has just been awesome for me. I will, when I'm going to write a piece, a blog post, or an editorial, I will write it live in the editor, but only to my peeps. I have a list called Peeps, which I'm going to add you to. You'll be one of my peeps now. And the peeps list is like just like 200 people of like very close. And they give me feedback on what I'm writing and say like, hey, this is a good idea, that's a bad idea, blah, 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 blah.
Cool.
And then
you publish it.
Well, no, then I delete it. And then I publish another thing, which is the actual finished piece.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
But,
you're wildly impressed with it.
Yeah, well, yeah, I think they've done an awesome job.
And so show me some more of the product.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me get this font back up. And so, as I was saying, all the functionality that you find in Twitter is here.
Right.
Lists aren't here yet, but will be, including things like reposting. So I can take other people's posts and repost them.
Right.
And when I repost them, as you know, in general here, the conversation is all threaded in line. And
Are you threading it? So like if I comment
well, it's just a single...
It's a one-level thread.
One-level threading today, yes.
Why is it one-level threading? Why can't it be two?
We thought about doing it multi-level threading,
Yeah.
and we will. In fact, I think it's important
Oh,
to
you do think it's important.
We will, yeah.
You just haven't gotten there yet.
Exactly. But all of that carries over. And so you see the conversation that I had, let's say, on Lewis's profile is all here. And so it facilitates the meeting of people. And so you get these larger conversations as you participate in it. You can have public or private photos and photo albums. So you may choose to create some photo albums that are private. See, that's what this little lock says.
Yeah.
And you can share with individual people. And then we have a section here called questions, which is really kind of two pieces. One is a database of questions with lots of different questions. You can answer the ones you want. Whichever ones you answer get associated to your profile. And then people can see what questions you've answered, what the possible answers are, and answer themselves. And also, if you go to some questions, you'll see have been answered by others. Let me see if I can find them here. Obviously, still a little. And it'll show you what other people have answered these questions and how they've answered them, and then follow them to their profile.
So I can pivot on a question and see how many people said they hate Justin Bieber.
Yes.
And if they in fact hate Justin Bieber, then I can.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
Yeah. And then you can create your own questions for people to answer that visit your profile. And so if you have a curiosity, you're trying to do a poll of some sort, you can do that and say, answer this question. And when they answer it, again, it propagates to their profile.
Got it.
And so all of that spreads. And then there's this thing called, so as I said, we have this directory, which I'm going to lower this font a little bit, that allows you to both browse and search across all kinds of different things. In fact, not only searching, as I said, you can literally...
by occupation?
By occupation, by interests. And all of these are not only searchable, they also have these tag clouds. If you click on this little thing, and I can see the 2 people in the database right now out of the 7 members of this community that are interested in Ruby.
Permission to speak freely?
Please.
It feels like Tribe and Google Plus had a baby. You know, Tribe had a very community interest-driven, gestalt to it. It was very much for people who wanted to, sort of coalesce around a theme.
Right.
An item. Whether it was Burning Man, which was very popular, obviously, or just a piece of software. And that's what this feels like. Is that intentional? Is that what you're going for? It's like, hey, we're going to be like topic and interest-based? Or is it... more general platform social network like Facebook?
As I developed this with my co-founders, we're simply trying to build a tool that we like. And so I got to be honest, I really don't think of it that much in these abstract terms of, I think it's influenced by all of those services. You can see pieces of Tribe, you can see pieces of Google Plus and Facebook and Twitter and all those things in it. But it's something of its own. I mean, we just want it to be a place where we want to hang out, and hopefully other people want to hang out there as well.
Were you a big user of Tribe?
I was not a big user of Tribe.
Why do you think it failed?
I think it was neglected. And I think Pink has moved on to Zynga, of course.
Yeah.
But there's still lots of people that love Tribe.
Really?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Well, lots. I mean, it depends on.
Yeah.
But
lots as in thousands.
Yeah. I mean, I have friends that absolutely love Tribe and think it's the greatest social network there is, and refuse to use Facebook and simply want you to communicate with them on Tribe. But it's not. And then one other thing I want to show you, there are lots of things, but one of the things I want to show you is this public square. And so this is basically a categorized list of discussions But anything you do here is also reflected in your profile. And so if I make comments here, they're also reflected in my profile. And so all of this goes on and on and on in connecting people together.
Are you doing any filtering to my main newsfeed, or if I follow people, I get everything they do?
Right now, you get everything they do. We'll clearly add algorithms. What you can do is you can create standing search terms, which is down here below. And so,
that's an awesome feature.
And so anyone, by the way, because everything is public, anyone that mentions Starbucks, here's the post that's mentioning Starbucks, or the posts, excuse me, that are mentioning Burning Man. And so it's an easy way to then be able to filter based upon keywords and phrases rather than people.
God, I want that so bad. I was just looking at an extension that somebody had made for, like a Chrome extension to try to mimic that functionality inside of Google+. But what if I'm like really into the iPad right now, and I want to just be able to look at all the iPad stuff in my stream or the public, and since all your stuff is public, I could find all the iPad stuff, I take it?
Absolutely. And everything is a permalink, and everything is shareable to Facebook and Twitter and Tumblr and soon Google+. And so people don't have to be members to see content, just like on Twitter that's on Anybeat. They can simply follow a permalink and see it.
So you mentioned that, and here's a question from Pigeon or in the chat, what are the privacy systems Anybeat has that would make us switch from Facebook? And I think you have addressed that a little bit with the pseudonyms that allow you to either be pseudonymed or not, right? Show the real name or not.
Yeah. I suggest that nobody switches to Anybeat from Facebook. I believe Facebook is an important tool we should use to communicate with our friends, family, business contacts, other people we know in our lives. Anybeat is a place that augments that. When you want to go out and hang out with new people, I love meeting new people. Love it, love it, love it. That's, by the way, one of the things I love about Burning Man is you can come up to anyone and start a conversation. And by the way, that's one of the reasons that they tell you not to market to each other. Because here, if somebody comes up to you, we say, what do you want? You want to sell me something?
Yes, but some transaction that's about to occur.
But there, everyone knows that you're not trying to sell them anything. You just want to talk. And so it becomes a wonderful place to hang out and meet new people. And in a sense, we want to create a similar vibe, where this is a place you come and socialize. And you may meet people here that you then friend on Facebook, follow on Twitter, and do all that. It's not a replacement for Facebook. Now, some people may say, look, I'm not interested in Facebook at all. I just want to live here. And that's wonderful. That's perfectly fine. But it's not meant to be a replacement for Facebook.
And now you raised $1 million in June.
Yes.
Draper Fisher Jurvetson, it's a pretty significant venture firm. Howard Lindzen, pretty smart cat in terms of social. And Tom Anderson, legendary guy.
And a bunch of other people.
Oh, there were others. Also in the $1 million round.
Yeah, absolutely.
Can you build a viable social network for $1 million today? As an entrepreneur, is that just enough to get you the minimum viable product to market? What's your strategy on a business level? This is a business.
Of course.
So what is the business strategy here?
Yes, we're going to raise more money, of course. But we've built this product, and like I said, we're beta testing it now. We're not launching it just yet, but it's getting very close to launch. Most of that money is still in the bank. And so we have runway to test it out and to do all that, and then we'll go out and raise more money.
So it seems to me that you're going to get yourself in the game with a pretty viable product. It looks very sharp.
Thanks.
Couple of interesting features. And that is really what entrepreneurship is about. Get yourself in the game. Have you thought about what is going to be the deciding factor in the success of this? And do you have any ideas of what is your leverage point? Is it the fact that the other two major social networks require you to use a real name? Is that enough to make you a unique place? Is it the rangers that will be out there policing the area and making, hopefully, the level of discourse higher? Is it the topic-driven message board sort of features where I can just jump in and start talking about a topic? What do you think is going to make this break out in a very crowded space?
I think it's building, again, I'm going to reiterate that our goal is in no way to replace those services. They all have their uses, and we use them all day, every day.
But there is a finite amount of time in a day.
Yes, there is.
So you need to take some time away from my Facebook and Twitter time.
Yes.
And
I think people, many people, if you ask them, are starting to say, I'm bored with Facebook. What do they mean by that?
Yeah, what do they mean by that?
They mean that they're bored hanging out with their small circle of friends.
Right.
They love the interaction. It's just the conversation has gotten stale. See, if we don't expand our social circles...
Why is that the conversation is so stale in Facebook?
Well, because everyone's being watched. And to that earlier thing, everything you say is being recorded and is being logged and is being watched.
Right.
And so we have to watch what we say. And two, we're sitting there with mom and dad and the reverend and our old high school, college, high school pals.
So what you would say in front of everybody in your social graph is different than what you would say,
of course,
in front of
a brand new person you just met, a stranger.
Right.
Sometimes we have the best conversations with strangers.
In a way, Facebook is collapsing on itself.
Yes.
Their success is their Achilles heel.
Facebook isn't going away. The conversation...
Well, if people say they're bored with it...
Well, they're bored with it. It's not Facebook they're bored with. I believe they're bored hanging out with the same group of people. They want to expand their social circles. It's not like we're going to go away from our friends and family.
But you also just said that, because you have connected to everybody, the fact that the social graph has manifested itself in essentially completion. It's almost a complete social graph, with the exception of the old people who are going to be dead soon anyway. And then in which case, it'll be... fate, what do you say when you say it's fate, like finished, like it's fait accompli? Somebody correct me if I'm wrong. I can't pronounce things for whatever. Anyway, mission accomplished for Facebook. And if they in fact finish the mission, the amount I'm willing to say is going to be reduced by 90%. And if everybody's ability to share has been reduced by 60, 70, 80, 90%, it dies.
I think it transforms. I think that Facebook will be, for the foreseeable future, our primary tool to communicate with the people we know. It's amazing. It's the most important tool I have today on the internet.
Really?
You could ask me to keep my phone, email, instant messaging, etc., or Facebook. It's a no-brainer to me. I'd keep Facebook.
I gave it up for months. No difference in my life, except that I had more time. To actually write and do.
Yes.
And when I wrote stuff that was longer and more intelligent and whatever, as opposed to these one-liners and interacting with this sort of banality that has become the Facebook newsfeed.
Right. All of that is true. Yeah.
Boy, did things get more interesting. And I find that they're using their algorithm for their own purposes.
Yep.
I want to follow people. I want everything they say. And if I don't want it, I'll stop listening to it. Instead, they make this sort of decision for me to tell me what's important.
I agree.
And then they put ads in, and they determine that the ads are important enough to put into my feed, but my friends' other stuff they're doing is not. Very weird.
Like I said, all kinds of problems.
Yeah.
But I don't think it's going away.
Right.
I think, well, to answer your question, your original question, I think the thing that makes us successful is if we're embraced by community and communities of people, and we build a thriving community. If it's a clean, well-lit place and a fun place to come and hang out, and meet new people and socialize. I think it's a fundamental human need. I think everyone has it. Some of us are more social than others. But I think it's extremely important because if we don't expand our social circles, if we get stuck in these little echo chambers of hanging out with our groups of friends and family, life very quickly becomes dull. We get into groupthink, and I think it's very...
You log into Facebook anymore, Tyler?
Yeah.
What are you doing there? What are you doing in Facebook?
Not much.
Really?
I just did a comment 2 weeks ago that said, becoming incredibly bored of both Twitter and Facebook.
Oh, you're becoming bored of Twitter?
And Facebook.
Yeah, I find my Twitter, I'm sad to say it, but I am finding my Twitter usage is going down. Since we've analyzed each of the players, let's do a little analysis and handicapping, since you're an expert in the space, of Twitter. What is Twitter's position now with Google Plus coming out, and so many of the, let's call them the avant-garde, the mavens of the space, the Robert Scobles of the world, embracing and loving Google Plus over Twitter? What does that do for Twitter? What does that mean for Twitter?
I think Twitter is vulnerable. I think that whether it's Google Plus or in some cases, clearly people see Anybeat as another alternative because it's got public profiles and all those other features, but without the restrictions. I think Twitter is vulnerable. Now, again, is it going away tomorrow? Absolutely not. I think it's a compelling service. It's got lots of usage. It's great for discovering, the latest news if you want to drink from a tsunami fire hose. But to have a real conversation on Twitter is extremely difficult.
Well, it's not made for conversations, is it?
not.
I mean, without the... So do you think they should add threaded message boards?
Absolutely.
Do you think they should lift the 140 character limit?
Absolutely.
Do you think they will do either of those?
I have no idea. And we should ask Jack.
What do you think, Tyler? You think they should... You now that you're using Google Plus more... Or,
I'm really not.
Oh. You're just opting out of all social media.
Yeah.
What, do you got a girlfriend or something I don't know about?
That's wonderful. That's a good thing. I support it. Listen, I've got a service that I'm launching that says, come socialize online.
No, I really like the idea of the finding new people aspect. It was actually one of the strange, fun initial things about MySpace early on was you were more into finding people with similar interests, which you just don't do in Facebook, period.
Right.
Or, on Twitter, you kind of do, but you don't have any kind of relationship with them.
Right.
Right?
Yes. That's perfect. You're exactly right.
Right.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what I've got going on my Facebook screen. Let's pull it up for a second. Laura is going to Paris and Barcelona. Somebody wants Spotify invites. Sean Fanning had a kid, I guess. That's kind of a personal thing. Rebecca Woodcock, who I think is Mike Arrington's ex-girlfriend, is launching at Disrupt. Vinod Khosla, mentions startup on stage. Don Dodge talks about it. Ashton Kutcher, Turntable gets some funding. I don't know. It just feels like everybody's sharing news stories. It's basically a news story. It's a news link. It's a sharing links.
A lot of it depends on who it is that's in your circle of friends.
Like 5,000.
Yes. Well, and are they all friends, or are they simply people you followed?
I just said yes to everybody.
Yeah. See, and so that's the thing. My Facebook is extremely valuable because I use it as I choose who I'm friends with, and my friends tend to have discussions that I find interesting and meaningful, and so I engage, and we have lots of communication on it. I mean, Facebook is critically important to me.
But you don't tend to have long conversations on Facebook in group context anyways, and you certainly don't have them on Twitter. I used to have, one of my fondest memories online was the religion forums, going back to on MySpace.
Right.
I spent months in the religion forums on MySpace, and the most passionate, heated art was Superman. I'll never forget him. That was his username. Yeah. And we used to go on, and I learned more about religion in that forum than in any course you could ever, because it would force you to do research and
Totally.
Amazing.
Perfect. That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That's what I hope is going to be the compelling part of Anybeat, is once you take the physical identity out, if you choose to do that.
And I would never have said
exactly
80% of the stuff I said if it was tied to my identity.
Right. And if you have tools where people can meet each other, and you have these forums to communicate, that's the hope, is that we start talking about things other than social media. That's one of the problems that makes me bored of Google Plus, is Robert Scoble. How many different ways can we look at social media and reanalyze and reanalyze and reanalyze it? I'm freaking bored of it.
Right.
I mean, here I'm launching a service that's a social media service to simply get us to quit talking about social media.
Right.
Let's move on and let's talk about let's talk about politics. Let's talk about religion. Let's talk about all those
questions.
other...
I'll give you my, I'm always looking at these things saying, where do I see the leverage? And I'm looking at it going, you've built something that is basically best of breed. Which is an accomplishment. To be able to keep up with the Joneses, which is a small team, is no, small feat.
Yeah.
It must have taken a lot of sleepless nights and working weekends. But this asking people questions and qualifying them.
You lit up when you went to the question.
I kind of was like,
did you notice that?
This is interesting.
Yeah.
Because I have to say, I love a good survey, and I love asking a question at dinner. Right? It's one of my techniques at a dinner party. In fact, I'll give away a couple of my techniques. Is to ask a question at a dinner party, just to get things, going.
Like what, for example?
Yeah, let's ask it.
I would ask somebody, I might ask somebody, do you know what the predominant features, what do you think I'll ask sort of like a question, what do you think the two biggest factors are in who you marry. It's one, right? Turns out proximity and frequency. That's something I picked up in psychology. That, hey, the proximity, how closely you live to somebody and how often you see them determines, in large part, it's one of the big high correlations to who you marry.
Totally.
Very interesting, right?
Yeah.
What do you think the happiest countries are in the world? What do you think are some of the correlations to the happiest people in the world? Do you guys know? What makes people happy? According to happiness research.
Connectedness.
Connectedness, yes.
A sense of improvement.
Yes, you read some of the books. Yes, after I gave them to you when you were tremendously depressed about your life. I gave Tyler a big stack of the books that I read when I was tremendously depressed about my life. No, you basically. So anyway, I like to ask those questions, and they get things going, and people say, "Oh, that's fascinating," and there's some maybe revealing a little bit about themselves, sharing a little bit, and maybe how they answer is important.
When that's how we do it in the real world, right? In the physical world, we meet people, especially when we meet new people. What do? We ask them questions. What do you do on a first date? You ask questions.
Yeah. See, what I would do is, if I was you, I would zig where they're zagging. They want to build platforms. I would curate more. I would, Dmitry, if I may. I never want to tell an entrepreneur how to run their business. But since you have this incredible platform, what if when I logged in, it said, the question of the day
already in the plan.
Boom. And you answer it. And as you answer it, you get to meet more people in what they've answered, and they get to pivot around this. And then it sends them on in a tree, which question would you like to answer or discuss next? So I answered the first one about happiness, and it's like, well, here's a question about sports, here's a question about business, and here's a question about religion. And then I sort of almost get, or maybe it's in my feed, the question's just there. When I answer it, it dumps me into a Google Hangout. Google will never do something like this. Because Google would think, oh my God, we're creating content. Oh my God, God forbid anybody created any content in the world. The biggest goddamn sin ever is if guess what? Every time we open our mouths, we're creating content. I mean, you can index the world's content, but you can't actually produce any Google. And they buy Zagat. Now they have writers, and they're going to say, we're not making content. They're going to lie and say, we're not a content company. Even though they have people writing reviews.
Yeah.
Imagine if in your Google feed it just asked this question of, here's my question. If you could give up 5 years of your life to extend Steve Jobs by 5, would you do it?
Hell no.
Well,
you could extend.
Can I show you? Can we?
How about this? How about I ask you, if you could take 1 year of your life and give Steve Jobs 5, would you do it?
I wouldn't give him 5 minutes.
Really?
Yeah.
All right. If you could give up 1 year of your life to give me 5 more years, would you do it?
No.
If you could give up 1 year of your life to give me 10 more, would you do it?
No.
You wouldn't give 1 year for 10?
10.
For me, your boy? Oh God! See, this is where questions can break up relationships. Tyler and I, that's it. We're breaking up. You wouldn't give up 1 year of your life for 10 more years of mine?
For 10?
That's it. I'm off the show. I'm not going to take this. That's an easy answer.
Is it?
Even if you don't agree with it, you should answer. Of course, boss.
Oh, okay, sure, boss.
Sure, boss. For you, of course.
Do you realize?
Would you give to a perfect? If I could say, you give up. I tell you, you're going to live to 80. I tell you, stranger over here is going to live to 50.
Okay.
But he can live to 79 if you gave up your last year. Stranger, you do it or not?
Give it to me again.
Here's a stranger.
Yes.
You're both the same age. You're both 35. Stranger's going to die at 36.
Okay.
You're going to live to 80.
Yes.
He can live to 79 if you agree to take off the last year of your life and you live to 79. Will you do it?
No.
Wow.
To me,
I cannot believe that now I have learned this about you, Tyler. You would let the other person die at 36 instead of living to 79 for just 1 more year on the planet for yourself? You selfish, selfish person. I thought I knew you. What have you done, Dmitry? Why did you do this to our relationship? We're perfectly great, and now you've ruined it.
You know what?
What would you do, Dmitry? Let me ask you,
it's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer to me. Of course, I'd give it up.
Of course.
Of course. For
Tyler.
any total stranger in the world.
What if it was you give up 1 year? You could get. It's like the prisoner's dilemma.
Please, I'm happy to answer all these questions.
Yes. Let me ask you, Dmitry.
Yes.
You give up 3 years of your life.
This was the fun of those forums,
Yes.
by the way.
You
This really was.
You give up 1 year of your life.
Yes.
In order to extend another person's by 3. You both wind up dying at the same time.
I'm sorry.
You give up the last year of your life
Right.
in order to increase. Okay, you're going to die at 80.
Okay.
And he's going to die. You're going to die at 81. He's going to die at 77.
Okay.
You die at 80, he dies at 80.
Fine. See, I believe quantitative continuity is of no value.
Wow.
We need to live in the moment right now. Right here, right now. This is life.
This is it. It's happening as we talk.
It's happening now. See? And if we're living it well now, then everything is wonderful, and I'm not worried about living to 80. 80 is of no value.
Hey, let's do a Jason Shark Tank. Whoa. You know there's a television show called Shark Tank.
Yes. I don't watch any TV, but I know there is a show called Shark Tank.
Of course you don't watch TV. Yeah. You and Tyler are going to get along great now that Tyler's got a new best friend.
I have not seen, I'm not exaggerating, I've not seen 10 minutes of TV in the last 3 years. In total.
Yeah, me neither.
Interesting. You guys are going to get along fabulously. But maybe you can give him some humanity. I'm willing to let people die so he gets an extra 365.
Are both your parents still living?
No, my father's deceased.
Both your parents are alive?
Yeah.
I think your answer to that question changes dramatically once one of your parents dies.
The TV question?
No.
Giving the amount of TV changes based on a paradigm. You're like, I don't have time for watching TV. My parents are dead. Okay, here we go. This show has gotten way off course. Rashaun, are you there?
I am.
Are you there?
Can you hear me?
He's there, but I can't hear him. We can't hear him in here. Count backwards from 10.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Oh, damn it! I was catching the show. I was just screwing with you. I was just mouthing.
Hello.
Yes, we can hear you. We can hear you.
Oh, awesome.
Dang it! I gotta put $10.
How you doing?
You just cost me $10 in the swear jar. God damn it!
Funny.
I was just effing with him, and I should have said fracking. Why did I do that? Okay,
nice.
You know the rules of Shark Tank. I was invited to be on this television show 3 times, and then they stopped calling back. They didn't return Tyler's calls, and they gave the slot to Mark Cuban, which is a better person than me anyway. 60 seconds. You ready?
I am.
3, 2, go.
Imagine it's 1960, Jason. What do you think the typical pharmaceutical sales rep looks like? Well, he carried a briefcase stuffed with glossy paper brochures. He drove from hospital to clinic, knocking on doors to sell his company's drugs. If you fast forward to 2011, what's that same rep look like today? Sadly, not much has changed. Same briefcase, same paper brochure, same company car, still knocking on doors. Jason, I think that door-to-door selling in healthcare sales is ridiculous. Social technologies can help us improve this process and make it more efficient. I worked as a sales rep for J&J for 7 years, and after being let go in a downsizing last year, I decided to start Qualtrx. Simply put, Qualtrx is a B2B social networking community designed to connect healthcare professionals with industry vendors. The problem we solve is improving the signal-to-noise ratio for healthcare professionals. Now, it's simple. On Qualtrx, doctors ask questions and post needs, and industry vendors post answers and proposals. 2 weeks ago, we launched at a regional teaching hospital in Minneapolis. We've got 170 users at a hospital that purchases 35 million of drugs from the pharmaceutical industry each year.
Okay, very good. I got the pitch. Based on this, and I pulled up your site, Qualtrx. Looks very professional. You got that nice blue and white design that screams this is a medical site. You got a name with an X in it, which means drugs. You got a name
nice.
With a bunch of other strong consonants, like a Q and a T and an R. You put all the strong consonants in there. It feels like I could trust this. And an online social network designed to connect healthcare professionals to industry vendors. Sounds like an interesting idea. And certainly it saves people time going to places. I didn't get from the pitch what the product actually is and how it works enough to know if it's differentiated or if, I mean, I understand you didn't do a great job explaining that. It hasn't really changed. The sales reps go, they dump a bunch of products on the table and say, hey, can I buy all the nurses lunch? Which, according to my mom, is basically what happened. The drug reps would come, buy everybody a bunch of food, give a bunch of samples, and then say, put an order in. And then they'd leave. That was the. Yep. Is that basically true? My mom is right.
I mean, I left the industry last year, and it's kind of shameful to say that it's still that same way.
Basically, you come in with some donuts, and then you try to sell Americans on taking more drugs.
I mean, basically, you know, you've got to find a reason for the doctor or nurse to trade time with you, and if you feed them, they meet with you.
Which is basically the opposite of Burning Man, where if you give people drugs, they eat a lot of donuts. It's basically the other way around. You're giving the donuts to get people to take the drugs. People take the drugs at Burning Man, then eat the donuts. Actually, donuts would be an incredible commerce item in Burning Man, I suspect.
Well, there is no commerce at Burning Man.
Well, I just mean to trade.
There's no trading. There's just gifting, which is very different. But donuts would be wonderful things to give at Burning Man, absolutely.
I'm going to go to Burning Man with 1,000 donuts next year. That would be my thing. I'll be the donut man.
That'd be awesome. Or bacon. And if you put bacon donuts, done.
Really?
The greatest
Maybe I should be the bacon donut guy.
I'll come to your camp.
You know what? My wife, though, will divorce me because she's going vegan, and I'm like eating vegan this whole month. It's crazy. So I think your pitch was probably a 7.5 out of 10 because we didn't get the actual manifestation of like some magic in either an example or magic in an actual product feature. I would have liked to seen 2 of those pieces of pixie dust, and then it would have become like a world-class pitch. This was just a serviceable pitch that got me interested, which is good. Listen, nothing wrong with a 7.5 pitch. I think the market for this, the business of this is a 9, possibly a 10, but you didn't tell me how it becomes a 10. Because I think that if they could take that, you know, I'm stopping by with the donuts, and then extend that discussion on somehow, it could be very powerful. It also could be one of these things where, like some of the vertical nets and other people who came out with products in the late 90s designed to disintermediate sales processes, it didn't work because guess what? People love the idea that the salesman took them to the Jay-Z concert or took them to the golf or some big open or to tennis open or took them to a Knicks game. I mean, people liked socializing. So does this take out the socialization?
It's a great question.
Which, Dmitry, you're trying to push back in to this. What did you think of his pitch?
I thought the pitch was good. Look, doing 1-minute pitches is pretty hard, and so I wouldn't want to be doing that.
Right. You got the benefit of a 40-minute pitch.
Exactly. Yes. I thought.
Give it a score. 1 to 10.
I think the
10's the perfect pitch.
I need to score it.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think you were right. Probably somewhere 7 to 8.
Yeah.
7.5
good.
sounds good to me.
Right.
Yeah.
And what was missing from the pitch? What would have pulled you in even more?
I mean, I think if he would have given that one specific killer thing of this is, this is what we're solving, but it makes me want to know more. I mean, I've got all kinds of questions. We could sit here and ask you questions if we had time.
And in terms of the business of it, adding social to drug reps equals interesting on a business level?
I don't know. It's hard to say.
Hard to say. You're not.
I think just adding social. We've kind of come to this thing where adding social to things has become this glamorous thing, and that it's silly. Some things aren't social at all. Other things are very social naturally and don't need any social added.
Movies. Everybody wants movies to be social.
Right.
I don't want people talking to
neither
a movie.
do I. Same thing with listening to music. I think listening to music is a solo experience for me.
Right.
Some people like to listen to music and talk to other people.
So Turntable FM turns you off.
It does. It's of no interest to me.
Tyler, what did you think of the pitch? You are the pitch doctor.
Yeah, I felt sort of hypnotized. It was an odd sensation.
He's a very good pitch person.
Yes.
With the tie, and he's a good looking guy, isn't he? A good looking.
Yeah.
Well put together. He's got the perfect shot. He's looking great on the GoToMeeting HD Faces. He's got the perfect, great shirt, great tie combination. He got the perfect headset.
Thanks, guys.
The glasses.
Yeah.
It's actually, did you see the episode of Curb Your Enthusiasm where he puts the glasses on and says glasses makes him look smarter? It's the greatest episode ever.
Yeah.
Anyway, what do you give it on a pitch? You felt, give it a score. Come on.
I had a hard time hearing what he was saying.
Oh, because it's too monotone.
No, not the monotone thing. Just I was just kind of
maybe it's too good.
I was vibing on his kind of emotion without paying too much attention to what he was saying.
Maybe it's because it's a boring topic, pharmaceutical reps.
Maybe he just has it down so well.
You might be so polished that it actually is. There was a point at which you polish something so much that it feels inauthentic, maybe, or it loses a little of the passion. So, I mean, this might be a case. What you're hearing from Tyler is Tyler may have felt like maybe a little too much polish, maybe a little more emotion, maybe a little bit more passion, hunger, desire. I don't know what.
Yeah, it needed.
So what did you give it?
A rattle. It needs a little bit of a
edge.
Yeah, it needs some edge to it.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so maybe you say, listen, you know what you really had me was I was a rep who got laid off. That was the strongest part of your proposal, because you know what? Everybody empathizes with the guy who gets laid off in a downsizing. That's like they made a movie about that up in the air, right? It's like it really is carries a lot of emotion.
Yeah.
If I'm you and I'm meeting with investors, I'm meeting with people who want to come work for my company, I'm meeting with partners, I'm leading with that.
I think that's a great suggestion.
Okay.
I'm gonna lead with, listen, I was a sales rep for 10 years, and they laid me off in a downsizing. And I looked at deep inside myself, and I said, what did I learn these 10 years only to be laid off? What have I done with the last 10 years of my life? You see how he said it there? It's very dramatic. I should be an actor. I really should. Somebody should cast me. Oh, wait, I've been cast in a couple films. Somebody cast me in another film. Anyway, then you lead into it. And it always bugged me when I was doing the job that it felt like we were trading donuts for prescriptions. What's a word that like rhymes with prescriptions? Pickles for prescriptions. What would be like a pizza for prescriptions?
Well, they call it pay to play, right?
It always felt like we were trading pizza for prescriptions. Pay for play. That's what it felt like to us. Our job was to go in there and bond with the nurses, give them some food, and try to get them to order some stuff. But what I always wish we could do is have a more substantive discussion. But there wasn't time because they were busy. Well, if we go onto a social network and they can ask their questions in a store and forward type of place, and when they're not when they have a down moment, not the moment when I happen to come, but when they have a down moment, they can post a question there, super easy. What if there was an iPad app or an iPhone app where they could do this, or they could just email and it would be posted for? That's where I thought there could be a better way to actually communicate the substance. Sure, I'm fine with buying them pizza and starting of a discussion, but how do we continue that discussion? That's what Qualtrx is going to do. We're going to trade pizza for prescriptions, and we're going to make it into knowledge. Knowledge that can make people's lives more rich.
The concern I have with
Score
this
that, Dmitry.
I thought that was awesome.
There's two...
I like that.
Because it makes an emotional connection.
Yes.
And because you hear my voice go up and then come down.
Yes.
And I don't know all the answers, so I'm posting a question. That's part of my pitch. But then I thought deeply. It's almost like overacting in a way and asking for help.
Everyone wants to help, in this same thing. At Burning Man, you learn this as well, which is people love people. When you take all the socialization and competition away, we love other people and we want to help people and we want to give to people.
Except for Tyler.
And when you give people...
he wants people to die a year from now so he can live from 79 to 80. By the way, your life from 79 to... I'm not getting over it. 79 to 80 is not going to be a great life, Tyler.
Which year am I giving up, though? The 79 to 80?
The 79 to 80
or the 40 to 41?
Obviously the last one. You're not giving up your 21st year.
One of the best gifts we can give to people is give them the ability to help us, give them the opportunity to help us. Right. Because when we do that, they can help us, and they feel great about it. They get gratitude. That's exactly right. That's the greatest emotion there is.
It is the greatest drug, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, right after ecstasy.
Well, it's better than that.
It is better than the ecstasy.
Going back to the drugs, the kind of inherent problem in this is that you're a drug sales guy who is now building this platform that would benefit drug sales guys.
Yeah.
I think the real success in this is going to happen when you build something that the doctors really resonates with them, that they prefer. It's a benefit that they really want to participate in this exchange. Because I can understand you're going to build something.
Yeah, but you know what? What do the doctors want out of the drug companies? They just want a free hotel or a free trip, right?
Is that how they look at it? But a lot of that's disappearing, though. There's a lot of regulations by state. There's national regulations that force doctors to disclose whatever valuable items they receive from industry. So there's basically no more space for face-to-face interactions in a lot of healthcare systems. And I see there's a lot of space, like you said, Jason, when these doctors have off time during their breaks or even at home on the couch. I mean, at our pilot, we've had some healthcare professionals enter needs in the system at like 11 at night. I mean, that's not typical time that a sales rep has access to the clinician.
All right. I'm going to give you a couple of items here. You have a pen, paper? Okay. No, you always go back to the recording. Here's something that I learned from Travis Kalanick at Uber, which was a great episode, obviously. When he started this Uber, they actually gave the phones to the drivers. It was a token. It's a, $400 iPhone. And they just said, here's your iPhone. We'll pay for it. Now you can accept calls. Oh, because this way the whole conversation is, I got an Android phone, I got a BlackBerry. Just like, here's an iPhone. Yeah, keep your BlackBerry, whatever you want to do. Put this on your dashboard. It's all paid for. You accept calls through this. You just hit the accept button. The app's already installed. We've already set it up for you. Now, you can't give material things to them, but you could give them a subscription, I'm sure. And so part of your pitch could be, you may not know this, but the entire rep business is being changed because of regulation. Doctors are not allowed to get a bunch of freebies. So we're out of the freebie business. But what we can do is really help them get educated. And what I want to do is give every doctor an iPad for free in exchange for them participating in this knowledge transfer. And so in order to get the iPad for free, they've got to log in once a week and just click that they watched one video. That one video will be paid for by a drug company, and it will allow them to ask questions and have a threaded discussion underneath it. Each of these doctors getting on their radar screen, if they don't use the product, they can just send the iPad back, and we'll just deploy it to somebody else. But who's not going to take a free iPad? Boom. I don't know if that makes sense.
I like it.
I think that's an awesome idea.
Well, you could try it. You get 100 iPads, it'll only cost you 50 dimes.
Yeah, I think it's a great idea.
All right, I like it. I like it. Anyway, you're off to the races. Great job, and we'll talk to you next time. See you on the.
Thanks, Jason.
See you on the.
Thanks, Tyler.
Yeah. He's a nice guy. I met him in person. He actually is one of the producers who joined the program. Has been discussing building startups. I didn't know that this was his startup, but I think I met him at FOA or something. Did I meet you at FOA? Is that it? Yeah. So he came to the FOA conference because when I spoke at the Future Web Apps, the Vegas one, I just said, "Hey, Carson, I'll speak at your event. You don't have to pay me. Just give me like 10 free tickets." And then I gave it to all the producers. They all come for free. It's like a $600 ticket. All right, Dmitry, listen, you are off to the races. You got a great idea.
Thanks.
I love to see somebody going into an extremely competitive space with new, fresh ideas and a fresh perspective.
So reminiscent of Google going into search. Like it was this, there was
the wrong time.
Yeah, everyone thought, oh, it's just done, it's all sewn up.
Yeah, it's not. It's not. And I really think that there is something there where the soul of social networking is gone. It's soulless.
Right. Yes.
That's what I've learned from an hour.
It's
mechanical, it's transactional. That's what I've learned from an hour with you, Dmitry. And I think you could be the guy who could actually bring it back and put some soul back into it. Just like Rise and Friendster and Tribe and Facebook actually originally, and MySpace certainly. There was a lot of soul to social networking. There you go. Anybeat, bringing the soul back to social networking. Putting the soul in social networking.
I love it.
There you go. Awesome. Hey, we'll see all of you next time on This Week in Startups. Thank you, GoToMeeting. Thank you, Hiscox. That was a very educational and informative discussion we had in the middle of the program for 3 minutes. See you next time. This is just like after This Week in Startups. And coming up next is This Week in Web Design at 2:30. We don't have This Week in Social Media this week? Is there a This Week in Social Media immediately? No, okay. So what we're going to try to do, as you guys see in the chat room, is, no insights with Tyler. He wants his money back, Tyler. You got a post-show insight for him? So anyway, what we want to do here is, you see they got the camera up in the corner. I want to put a camera in the other studio next door and have the shows hand off. And so they would pull in their feed. Yeah. Hey, Carolyn? Carolyn, can you come in here, producer Carolyn? Yeah. Dmitry can't instantly phase through the wall. So here, come in and just come on, stand over here. Then you be outside. The camera's up there. Okay, so Carolyn, next week, Matt, I want to have, or maybe is there somebody, well, today's Tuesday, Friday is when social media is. Right. That's my confusion. It's not happening. Is there any show after my show on this Friday? So see if music can be right after. What I want to do is, I want to set up the other studio for music. Then, see the picture in the picture while we're doing our credits, we'd have a 3-camera thing going on here. Our credits, this studio, and the next show. And some kind of way of putting both, and then I hand off to him immediately. And I have a little conversation with him.
We were actually just talking about having the credits just go under.